Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to actually do a shoe review. I've always wanted to talk about my favorite running shoe ever, the Salomon Pulsar. This is the version 1. They've come out with 2 more versions since then. I've stuck with this one because it's just like when you find a running shoe that works for you, you try to find as many pair off the internet that you can and make it last as long as possible. And I believe they're starting to run out finally. But in order to understand why it's my most favorite running shoe ever, we have to go back before the year 2011, which was kind of a turning point for me. I used to actually run in really big, bulky New Balance running shoes, and I'll throw an example of those up on the screen. And in the pursuit of reducing injuries and running more efficiently, I read an article about running styles, and I had discovered that I was actually running with a heel strike. So my heel was striking the ground first, followed by the forefoot, and I could even see that heel strike in running photos when they take your finish line photos in a race, for instance. And the article suggested running forefoot and followed by your heel, which is actually a more natural running style, according to the article. And it said that you even ran like that as a child before your parents threw running shoes on you whenever you were learning to walk and run. So I started learning how to run that way, and I eventually did relearn, so to speak, the natural way to run. However, I discovered that those bulky running shoes had a more pronounced heel in the back and was getting in the way of that kind of running style. And then I eventually ran a race called the Frankenthon in Cedar Park, Texas, which I happened to win. And the award was a voucher to a running store for a free pair of running shoes. Well, I had also read an article about the New Balance Minimus MT10, which was marketed as a barefoot style running shoe, meaning like a reduced heel and the ability to feel the ground more so than the New Balance running shoes that I was running in before. It was also one of the OG shoes, I believe, to market the Vibram soles. And this running shoe even suggested running without socks, and I even tried that out, and I haven't looked back. Stinky shoes and all. And the first time I test drove these running shoes, that combination of ground feel and lightness and sticky rubber was like a game changer. Even running barefoot was just a complete game changer. I never wanted to go back into bulky running shoes ever again. But as I started making this my main running shoe and started running marathons and ultra marathons, I started discovering that the Central Texas trails were gonna beat my feet up in these shoes, and I was gonna have to find a replacement pretty soon. So then I discovered the Salomon Sense Ultra lines. I think it eventually the name got reduced to Salomon Sense, but it was a shoe created for Killian Jornet for the Western States 100 miler, which is a kind of like a holy grail ultra marathon here in the United States. And they essentially wanted to create a go fast shoe that also protected his feet. And I tried the third version of that, and that was a wow moment for me, because then it felt very similar to running in these, but then I was still able to run the rocky trails of Central Texas. Eventually, like most running shoes, the more versions, the latest versions that came out, they didn't get better. They actually got worse, in my opinion. The soles started getting stiffer, and whatever the final version was, it wasn't anywhere near like that third version that I discovered originally. It just started falling short until the shoe line eventually was killed off. Then fast forward to 2021, and Salomon put out this running shoe for $180. I wasn't quite ready to buy a pair of running shoes for that amount, even though that probably doesn't seem like a whole lot now here in 2025 with the way prices have gone. So I didn't purchase it until 2021, but boy did I wish that I had started running in these shoes sooner, because it gave me that same sense of awe as running in the Salomon Sense Ultra version 3. And much like that shoe, just gave me that awesome amount of ground feel, and without sending shock waves into my feet and my legs. I eventually discovered that I could pretty much do anything in this shoe. I ran the Salt Lake City marathon in it, and even ran a solid time, and I've run up to 50 miles in this running shoe, and have done some crazy mountain ultras here in the state of Utah, and it just, as I said, became the everything shoe. This pair has probably got like 500 miles on it now, and has a kind of like reduced sole. So some of these that I have lying around are have been assigned to just gym duty, but I would argue that that I could just take this off, this sole, and re-sole it with maybe like a Vibram sole and keep on running. While this older shoe that has 500 to 600 miles is not going to feel like a brand new pair of these. It does compress to a certain point and doesn't compress anymore, it seems like most running shoes. And so I feel like, for at least shorter distances, I could probably run on these forever. This upper right here is just bulletproof. I've got a crazy footfall, and I've blown out the uppers and silver running shoes over all these years, and like this, they're just like nothing. There's just like no tears whatsoever. So I'll hang on to these, see if I can modify them. So there you have it, Salomon Sense Pulsar. Very awesome shoe. I'm gonna find as many as possible and run in them for as long as possible. Thanks for checking out the video, and have yourself a wonderful day.